Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Logistics with me, Jewel Williams, your host. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. So, we're going to be continuing our conversation on the drayage business and the business model. So, yesterday, if you missed the video, it's right here. You can catch that, and it'll talk about the first part of the dredge, which is getting your documentation, credentials, and things like that, so that you'll be ready to get on the ports and get some of that business. So, we're going to continue the conversation today, and we're going to be talking about kind of give an overall of what are the types of containers that come off of ships, giving you some general terms and what you can understand. So, and then a little bit of information about how big ports are in general and across the United States. So, first things first, if you have not subscribed, I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. It's free. And turn on your notification bell so that way you're notified every time I drop a new video. And let's get into this topic. So, first things first, I wanted to give you some background. So, according to reports, there is about 11 million shipping containers in and out of our country's ports every year. That is a lot of cargo. And so, with that, you need truck drivers to help pull that freight to and from the ports. Now, what exactly is drayage? What exactly is a drayage company doing? Drayage is basically the term meaning to pull something with a cart. And I think I've read the old English term is a cart without wheels. So that's where it stems from. Yet, when you are draying freight, you're draying it from the ports, you're draying it from the rail yards, and you're taking it to a warehouse or store or facility. And a lot of times there is a back haul part of drayage where after you get done, that container has to go back to the port. So it could be either refilled, taking something out of the country, or they ship those containers back empty. Yes, they ship those containers back empty. So I want to just go over a few things with. Okay, so let's get into some information. So there are about 360 commercial ports in the United States. That's right, 360 commercial ports. That is huge. And so as I'm looking at this report right here, it talks about drayage is a transport of both loaded containers and returned empty ones, along with chassis between trucks, rail, warehouses, or depots. Now, and this is what I was reading in regards to the old English word drayage, meaning a cart without wheels. So, drayage moves are short in nature, usually staying within a 75-mile radius of a port. Most often, this means a truck moving freight from the port or a rail hub to a distribution center or warehouse nearby. I believe this is going to be the new business model in freight overall. As companies in the United States have made pledges to reduce carbon emissions and become more sustainable in their operations, they're going to be looking to this type of transportation model. Bring the stuff into the port, stay within a 75-mile, 100-mile tops radius, okay? Bring the stuff back and ship it back out. So therefore, there's a very few long-haul trucks on the road, so that way they can cut carbon emissions. And as I've talked before about other renewable energies, in some of the reports, that's where all of this is coming into. So another piece that I want to go into, let's talk about the types of containers you're going to be dealing with. So there's two types of terms you've probably heard before. An FEU, which stands for 40-foot equivalent unit, and a TEU, which stands for 20-foot equivalent unit. They usually look like this picture right here. Now, there's these containers, when they come in, As you can see, there's no wheels on the bottom of each of these containers. And that's usually how they come in, because they don't have space on that ship to be stacking containers with wheels on them and all that kind of stuff. So that's where the term chassis comes in, because a chassis is basically a the bottom part, the wheel part of this whole three-piece, I want to say, unit, where you have the power unit, the tractor, you've got the chassis, which gives you the wheels, and then you've got the container, which is either going to be a TEU, 20-foot equivalent unit, or an FEU, a 40-foot equivalent unit. So between those three pieces is what you're going to be pulling. So when you go to the port and you have just a power unit, which is your tractor, chances are you may have to get a chassis. So keep that in mind. If you don't have a chassis, it may have to be rented, and you'll have to negotiate renting terms with the chassis rental group. And I'll dig into more of that as we go along and I talk about the drayage piece. So you've got a couple of heights that you're dealing with. They have the high cube 40 foot. And from this right here, it says this is good for your lightweight, voluminous cargo, and over height cargo up to a maximum of 8 feet, 10 inches, 10 and a quarter inches. Then you've got the high cube 45, which is slightly longer. Okay. So these high cubes, one things that you probably want to be mindful of is going under low bridges. Okay. Because you want to make sure, with that high cube, it can fit under that low bridge. Sometimes in New York, it's kind of iffy. I know I've driven through there and it's really a pain in the butt. Now, they talk about some hard tops, which were developed for heavy loads. They said there's open tops designed for your overheight cargo. You've got flat tracks suitable for heavy loads and oversized cargo. Platforms, ventilated. I know that when you ship onions, a lot of times they have ventilated containers because when they get too hot, the containers can pop. When I say pop, it usually pushes open a door or something like that. You've got refrigerated units, boat containers, flexi tanks, and tank containers. So yesterday I talked about when you're doing your licensing and you want to get your CDL, there's a part on your CDL where you can take get the endorsements for tankers, doubles, triples, and of course hazmat endorsements. So if you're going to be draying from the ports, it would be wise to look into taking and getting that endorsement for tankers, so it opens you up as a business owner to be able to pull those types of trailers or those types of tankers out of the ports if that needs to be done. And then we've got the top 10 ports that I want to talk about. So Los Angeles being the biggest, and I think that might be shifting with a lot of the issues that they're having in Los Angeles, with a lot of the new regulations from California, and truck drivers are having to reposition themselves, either purchasing a different type of vehicle that burns cleaner, that reduces the emissions so that it's burning cleaner fuel, or electric vehicles, which that is up for debate as we need power grid. So Los Angeles is the biggest. Then you have Long Beach, New York, New Jersey, and then there's Georgia, which has Savannah and Brunswick. Then drops down to Seattle, Tacoma, Port Metro, Vancouver, Virginia, Houston, South Carolina, and Ontario. Those are your top 10 biggest ports. I don't think it's evenly spread amongst the East and West Coast. It varies. I think you would have to dig into the numbers. So one last piece to this that I wanted to go over is who you're going to be dealing with if you're in this type of business. Now, a lot of times you're going to have some truck drivers work with a dispatcher. I talked about that before. Some will work with a freight broker. Some will work with a freight forwarder, but there's also another one, and it's called an NVOCC. And just so you, I'll give you a screenshot here. So an NVOCC is defined as a non-vessel operating carrier. And that basically means that the company basically performs services of an ocean carrier like Hapag Lloyd or something like that, but they don't own any vessels. They don't own a ship. Now, I know at one time I've read that Amazon is chartering boats, so they may be started as an NVOCC or dipped into the NVOCC business. I know that C.H. Robinson, UPS, also acts as an NVOCC. But a lot of these partial companies and LTL companies, they operate in the capacity of a non-vessel operating carrier. One final thing to add to this is for you owner operators out there, I know you are the backbone of this industry. You are the ones that are making this happen. Yes, there are some big carriers out there. You've got your JB Hunts, your Snyders, and so forth. But there are a lot of smaller onesie, twosie, owner operators that have maybe 1 to 2 trucks. Now, you've got to figure out a way to leverage that. Because when you go down, that means the freight goes down. So having one vessel, having one driver can be a disadvantage, even though it has a lot of great freedom. But I just wanted to give you real quick before I go on this episode, look at these numbers. This is some industry facts about owner operators here, okay? It even says here, the trucking industry is the lifeblood of the nation, as it not only employs approximately 3.9 million commercial drivers, license holders, but it is also responsible for delivering 70% of all freight worth $11.5 trillion. And if you look at this chart right here, it shows it's a $700 billion business. $250 billion of that is full truckload private fleets. $60 billion is your carrier parcels, UPS. $40 billion LTL. Full truckload for hire fleets, $350 billion takes up the majority. You are a part of that. So moving forward, think about how your business can be a part of this big picture, understanding the terms, getting to know where you can find chassis, when you got to get those trailers turned around, because this business is not just taking it from the port and into the warehouse and leaving it be. Offer a full service. Tell that customer that you're working with, I'm going to bring it from the port to your facility, take it back. So you're going to be charging them round trip. You're going to take them a round trip, okay? But you need to understand, how long is it going to take for them to unload? They may already have some trailers that they need to go back. So while yours is being unloaded, you can pull those other ones back. Those are the types of pieces of your business you want to be thinking about. All right. I hope this was helpful to you. Once again, I want to remind you to please subscribe, like, turn on your notification bell so that when I drop a video, you're notified. And I appreciate all my new subscribers. I'm up to 120. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow on the next video. Have an awesome day. Bye.